South Africa has once again been thrust into a state of deep political turmoil following a dramatic and unexpected operation by the Hawks, who uncovered a discovery inside former President Jacob Zuma's home that has sent ripples through the highest ranks of power and captured the attention of the entire nation. What investigators reportedly found was so startling and so entirely unforeseen that even the seasoned officers carrying out the raid were left shaken, igniting a storm of speculation, anxiety, and urgent debate across all corners of the country. According to emerging reports, everything began quietly in the early hours of the morning when elite Hawks officers arrived at Zuma's sprawling Kandla residence under strict instructions, heightened secrecy, and reinforced security. The operation, sources claim, had been meticulously planned for weeks, pieced together from a collection of confidential tips that linked the former president's home to an active corruption and money laundering probe believed to involve sophisticated networks and possibly influential figures beyond South Africa's borders. Armed with a special search warrant, investigators entered the estate and commenced a thorough examination of documents, safes, electronic devices, and storage areas. It was during this exhaustive search that the alleged explosive findings emerged, items so significant that insiders described them as the kind of discovery that can fundamentally transform an ongoing investigation into a full-scale political crisis. According to early internal leaks, the Hawks uncovered large amounts of undisclosed cash, confidential files, encrypted hard drives, and other electronic devices that reportedly contained data pointing toward a vast web of financial misconduct. Some investigators believe the material may be connected to international financial movements, shell companies, and offshore transactions, potentially shedding light on the whereabouts of millions in missing state funds. Even more unsettling were the handwritten notes, coded messages, and sealed envelopes allegedly bearing the names of high-ranking ANC officials, some of whom currently hold powerful governmental positions. These documents, sources say, outline what appears to be a covert funding network that may have been used to support clandestine political operations, high-level bribery schemes, and internal campaigns meant to influence decisions within South Africa's most influential political circles. While the authorities have not yet confirmed the exact nature or authenticity of everything seized, insiders close to the probe say that if the information is verified, the implications could be staggering and far-reaching. Reports further claim that as the Hawks carried out their operation, Zuma himself was inside the residence, flanked by family members and legal advisors who monitored the raid closely. Despite the tense circumstances, eyewitnesses described the former president as maintaining a calm and composed demeanor, occasionally conversing with his lawyers as officers conducted their work throughout the estate. Those familiar with Zuma suggest that this outward calm may mask deeper strategic thinking, noting that throughout his political career he has repeatedly demonstrated a remarkable ability to survive controversies, turning even the most precarious situations into opportunities to shift narratives, rally supporters, or challenge his adversaries. By the time the Hawks concluded their search, Zuma's legal team had already moved into action, reportedly filing an urgent request to review the legality of the raid and accusing the authorities of political motivations aimed at damaging Zuma's reputation and diminishing his influence. A spokesperson for the Jacob Zuma Foundation later released a concise but defiant statement asserting that the former president had nothing to hide and suggesting that the raid was yet another attempt to silence him because of his outspoken criticism of certain leaders and his continued sway over segments of the population. Meanwhile, news of the discovery spread rapidly across the political landscape, intensifying existing fractures within the ANC, where Zuma still commands a loyal faction capable of exerting significant pressure on internal decision-making. As whispers about the seized materials grew louder, the administration of President Cyril Ramaphosa came under immediate scrutiny, with critics demanding a clear and decisive stance. Opposition parties quickly seized the moment. The Democratic Alliance called for complete transparency and urged authorities to publicly disclose everything obtained during the operation, arguing that South Africans have a right to know what was hidden inside the home of a former head of state. Conversely, The economic freedom fighters accused the hawks of selective enforcement, insisting that the same level of investigative aggression should be applied to current office holders accused of corruption. Behind the scenes, sources claim a sense of panic has begun to take hold among some ANC members, particularly those who fear that if the seized evidence becomes public, it could expose connections implicating multiple ministers, former executives, and long-standing power brokers. As the story dominated national headlines, citizens took to social media in massive numbers, expressing reactions ranging from shock to anger to eager curiosity. Hashtags such as #ZumaRaid, #HawksDiscovery, and #Nkandla trended for hours as the public demanded answers, calling for clarity on what was found and what it means for the future of South African politics. Political analysts have described this moment as potentially pivotal, suggesting that if the seized documents truly contain incriminating information linked to financial crimes or covert networks, the fallout could trigger a chain reaction that unravels years of hidden dealings within the ruling party's most protected inner ranks. Some analysts argue that the situation has the potential to reshape the country's political landscape, leading to resignations, new investigations, and even arrests involving individuals far beyond Zuma's immediate circle. The sensitive materials and electronic devices seized during the raid are now reportedly in the hands of forensic experts who are working around the clock to decrypt and analyze the data, with early indications suggesting that international financial institutions may soon be contacted for cooperation. Meanwhile, at Nkandla, Zuma's supporters have begun gathering outside the estate, chanting slogans of solidarity and insisting that the truth will eventually vindicate him. South Africa, now gripped by yet another moment of political uncertainty, watches closely as the investigation unfolds. Whether the latest raid will finally reveal long-suspected truths or become yet another chapter in the country's ongoing political battles remains uncertain, but one thing is already clear: whatever the hawks discovered inside Jacob Zuma's home has unleashed shockwaves that could significantly impact the ANC's stability and influence the trajectory of South African politics for years to come. As the nation continues to reel from the unfolding revelations, political observers note that the ripple effects of the hawks raid are beginning to spread far beyond the initial shock. What initially appeared to be a targeted search at the home of one controversial figure has now evolved into a moment of national introspection, as citizens question not only the power structures within the ANC but the broader integrity of South Africa's political system. Some analysts argue that the timing of the raid may also play a crucial role in shaping public perception. With local elections approaching and growing dissatisfaction simmering across the country, many wonder whether the operation is part of a deeper realignment within the ruling party, a possible attempt by certain factions to distance themselves from Zuma and his lingering influence. Others believe the raid is a calculated move to demonstrate that the government is taking corruption seriously, even when it involves former leaders. In either case, the implications could be profound. The ANC, already grappling with internal divisions, now faces the near-impossible task of balancing loyalty to longtime members with the need to preserve public trust. Senior officials are reportedly scrambling to assess the possible fallout, holding late-night meetings and emergency consultations to strategize their next steps. Some insiders warn that if the documents indeed implicate influential figures still serving in government, the party could be forced into a painful process of public accountability, something it has historically struggled with. Such revelations could weaken the party's cohesion, embolden opposition groups, and even pave the way for a major political realignment. At the same time, Zuma supporters argue that the raid is nothing more than a coordinated attack designed to dismantle his legacy and erase his influence once and for all. Demonstrations outside Nkandla continue to grow, with many insisting that the former president is being unfairly targeted for political reasons. International observers, too, have begun paying attention as the story gains traction. Reports suggest that several foreign governments and financial watchdogs may become involved if the investigation confirms links to cross-border money flows or offshore accounts. This could elevate the situation from a domestic political issue to a matter of global scrutiny, placing additional pressure on South Africa's institutions to act decisively and transparently. For now, the country remains suspended in uncertainty, awaiting updates that could shift the balance of power, expose hidden networks, and redefine public trust in leadership. Whatever the final outcome, the Hawks' discovery has ensured that South African politics will not remain the same, and the next developments may determine the nation's direction for years to come.